Okay, Mr. Caps, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 2 girls that are missing. There's one. Have you seen Cleta?
Are you 65?
And there's Cleta. Can you shut the door?
You 65? 75? 85?
Y'all just guessing.
Yeah.
That's right.
Which one is it?
85.
85?
Yeah.
And if you'll go around and tell your names real fast to Mr. Caps. Candy, start with you.
I'm
Candy.
Candy. I'm Colton.
You have to speak a little loud because I'm a little hard of hearing.
Okay, Colton.
Christine.
Freddie.
Duran.
Okay.
Cleta.
And
Megan.
And Megan.
Megan. Okay.
But we are so glad. Everybody has paper, okay. But we're so glad that you could be here today, and we just wanted to share. Like I said, I've got 2 military folks, and these young folks. I've got 4 seniors, 2 juniors, and a sophomore, I think, something like that. So, just wherever you want to start, sir.
Always good to know that some are going into service because of our protection. We have to. Freedom is not free. If we want to be free, we have to defend it. And that's what I think they're doing now is defending our freedom because of what happened up in New York. And if they keep the bad boys from coming over here, that's the thing we want to do. But I went into service. I was raised on a farm, and then went to work at the paper mill over Lufkin.
You were raised
Angelina County.
Okay, that's what I remember.
Yeah, and raised on a farm. And then in 1942, I went to work at the paper mill, and I thought that was the grandest thing in the world because I hadn't been making very much money. You don't make a lot of money on a farm. But I went into service in 1943. Took my basic training out in California, out of Camp Roberts, and I took 2 cycles of training out there. And I went overseas in 1944. Caught a ship at San Francisco, and it was going to be a replacement for the ones that had got killed, and they were in R&R down in New Zealand. So we caught a ship headed for New Zealand. On the ship 14 days. Wow. And about midway down there, I took the mumps. You don't have a lot of diseases when you're working on a farm. Don't ever get to go to town. So I took the mumps, and I got to stay in the hospital the rest of the way. It was real warm till we got past the equator. And then I left there January the 1st on San Francisco and got down there about 14 days later. And it was summertime then in New Zealand.
Oh, yeah.
They're right off from what we were.
Right. Huh.
So I joined the 25th Infantry Division in New Zealand. And we went over to an island close to Australia, island of New Caledonia. And we trained for 9 months getting ready to go to the Philippine Islands for invasion. So we left New Caledonia, and we was on the ship 42 days getting up to the Luzon, up in the Philippines. We landed at Lingayen Gulf in February of 44 or 5. Maybe 45. My memory is not too good.
That's fine.
That's 65 years ago.
Now, is this, I think we were looking it up, is it Tropic Lightning? Is that the nickname?
That's it.
Okay, we were looking that up.
Tropical lightning.
Okay.
This is the insignia of my division.
Okay, we saw that on the internet. We were trying to look up different things.
Well, 161st Infantry. And I was in the I&R patrol. There were just a few of us. And our duty was to go out ahead of the unit and see if what was out there. So and we'd go on special assignments to to spot what was going on. And so we landed at Lingan Gulf and went inland, and was in combat 165 days. That's 4.5 months without let up. In that length of time, we had a hot meal twice in the 165 days. The rest of the time we were eating sea rations. I was always a lover of bananas because I never did get enough of them. And I almost got shot trying to, I seen some beautiful bananas, and I almost got shot trying to get me some bananas. Before I left the Philippines, I had plenty of bananas. But our objective was a place called Belady Pass, and it was very difficult getting there. And it took us all that while. During that time, though, we were held up somewhat because of the Battle of the Bulge over in Europe. We ran out of ammunition. They wasn't getting us enough ammunition. So. But that delayed us a little while because we have to be in combat longer than what we should have been. But then we ended that after the 165 days, and we went back to train where you've heard of the March, Death March, when the Japanese took the Philippines. We were camped there. Of course, there wasn't no prisoners there then. None of our prisoners were being held there then. But that's where we were training the day that they dropped the atomic bomb on Nagasaki. And they came out in the field to tell us about it. And that was one happy day.
Really? Yeah.
That they told us about that.
Were y'all
There's
surprised?
a lot of things happened in between, but during that 165 days. A lot of them that I've forgotten. A lot of them I did it deliberately.
Were you surprised at the dropping of the bomb? I mean, was that something that?
Oh, yes. Oh, but you talk about a happy bunch of people. Now, since then, just a few days ago, a fellow gave me where we was going land in Japan, and they thought their estimation was that would be 1 million of United States casualties.
Wow.
We'd lose 1 million people, and it would be 1 million of the Japanese would get killed during that time. But I don't know how many of the Japanese were killed because of the bombs, the atomic bombs at Nagasaki and that other place that they dropped. But I seen up where we was going to land, and we wouldn't have been here. I would have been here today. Don't think if it hadn't been for that. And it was a terrible thing to have to do that. And of course, war is terrible. Nobody really wins. And it's never been the United States policy to occupy anybody's land. And all we've ever asked for was, freedom and to be left alone. So for that reason, I think the bomb was justified in dropping it. But I'd be glad to answer any questions that might arise that anybody might have. But that's just kind of an overview of what we did.
I think these kids, they get kind of quiet and awestruck. They tend to get real, they don't know what to ask, they're just so in awe of your story.
There are a lot of things that, like I said, that happened. A lot of funny things during the time, but there was a lot of terrible things. Of course, there were a lot of monkeys, and there was a lot of little long lizards that aggravated us during the time. I was trying to think of some of the other things that happened at, while we were in a foxhole one night, and of course that's what we did. We dug trenches that we'd sleep in, what little sleep we got. And the fellow I was in, we'd be two in each one, so we could one stay awake and the other get a little sleep if we could. But the fellow I was with, he woke me up. He said the Japanese are moving in on us, and he said, I've got a grenade ready. And he said, when they come a little closer, I'm going to throw it at them. And he said, well, down now, he said, they've turned it and gone the other way. I said, well, throw it anyhow, because he had took the pin out of the grenade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I said, well, put the pin back in. He said, I've lost it. I said, well, he threw the grenade in. He said, no. He said, it'll give our position away if I throw the grenade. And I said, well, you got to do something. Yeah, I said, get rid of that thing. And so I sat back down and was kind of still. But what it is, it has a band over it, and you hold that, as long as you hold that band down, it won't, it's all right.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, I was like, how long did you have?
That band comes off, and you've got 9 seconds.
9, okay. Wow.
But anyway, this all wasn't very funny. But
yeah, I would imagine not.
I sat back down, and the first thing I knew, I jumped awake, and I said, I noticed he was asleep. And I said, hey, I said, what did you do with the grenade? He said, he's laying up on the side of the pole up there. I said, did you find the pin? He said, no, I tied my handkerchief around it. And of course, that was a dangerous thing to do. And so I said, you get it and you get rid of it. So he did, he threw it, and it went off, and everybody along the line, it sounded like the whole world had opened up. And everybody was shooting. They thought there's somebody.
Oh my gosh.
That's just one little incident that happened that I happen to remember. And I've told you a few that.
Yeah, how did you make your bed pretty easy, pretty soft in the foxhole?
Oh, well, them rocks would get pretty hard, so you cut grass or anything you could to put in the bottom of the foxhole, so you could be a little softer. But our food was in little cans. It's sea ration, they call it. And today I don't like beanie weenies. It'd be beanie weenies or rice and or beanie weenies, or it was something like that. None of it tasted good. I'd have cubes of sugar and cubes of coffee, and I'd put a little of that in there and try to change the taste. Never could change the taste of nothing. But we lived on it. And I had K rations, D ration. It's a chocolate bar. But it was very concentrated, and you could eat a little of that and go a long ways on that and carry you, give you strength. Never did just really, well, I didn't know where I was hungry or not, because you stay afraid. You stay alive by staying afraid. And but it was a hard, very hard 165 days, and I don't wish on nobody. We lost a lot of people, and I was very fortunate that I got just very few scratches is all. So I don't regret it, but I'd rather been doing something else. Now, any questions at all that you might think of? That's what we had to eat, and our drinking water, we'd get it out of the streams. There's some beautiful streams over there, but you have to put pills in it, purify it. That's where we got our water, and a bath. I believe I got 2 in the river one. during that time.
During that 165 days?
It didn't bother too bad because everybody else smelled the same way. But
Now, how old were you when you went in? You were,
well, I was 18 when I went in, a little over 18.
so like 21 when
Yeah,
you...
I didn't know no better.
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't going to make stay with it. Because I left being free too much. You surrender your freedom when you go in. You belong to them then. You do what they say. And you get up, you go to eat when they say, but that's all right. Some people, folks like that. It's okay. Now, it's different in peacetime. It'd be different now. Then, of course, everything was in a hurry because we was crowded. We'd had 2 wars going on, big war. And they was so rigid. So they had to get us trained and get us over there as quick as they could. So, but it'd be different now. You get regular time off. Then we didn't get no time. I was overseas 2 years, and there was nowhere to go. No towns you couldn't. There wasn't nothing there to mount to anything. Where we was at, I was on one island 9 months, and they put us on the north end of it, and well, there wasn't no way to go to town. And if you did, it was a little bitty thing. And mosquitoes, oh, they're bad over in that country.
So what did y'all do for like mosquito repellent? Did y'all have the spray?
We'd take Atabrine pill every day. Now, before I went, I'd had malaria several times.
Really? Before you went?
You living here.
Oh, wow.
But after I went overseas, I've never had malaria again.
Huh.
But we didn't have no screens on our home, our house, on the farm. And whatever wanted to bite you, they bit you.
Wow.
That was the worst enemy around here, mosquitoes.
Tell them how you let your family know where you were at.
Oh, they wouldn't let you tell them where you was at.
Really?
Censorship was terrible. So I decided I'd let, I have an older brother, and his name was Hollis, T. Caps. So I changed his middle initial. I started out with a L, and then I gave him a Luzon. I told him to save his letters for a while, that I would want to see him when I got home. So he seen it right away that I was trying to tell him something. So I told him where I was at by changing his middle initial in his letters that I wrote to him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did he get it?
He got it shortly. Yeah, I didn't get halfway through till he wrote and told me. He said, "I know where you're at now." And so, but hey, we didn't. Even after I don't remember whether I told them right at last. I don't know where they lifted that or not. I don't think we did. I went on up to Japan after the war was. They were fixing to sign the treaty, peace treaty, and I was there only a month, maybe a month and a half, till I left there and come home. I had enough points to come home. So that took another 14 days to get across the ocean. But going up there from Luzon up to Japan, we got a big typhoon, and it was terrible. The waves were 35 and 45 feet high, and
wow,
that scared me about as bad as the war. I asked another sailor, I said, "How deep is it out here in the ocean?" He said, "It's 8 miles. I thought, well, you're lying to me. But I come home and got the encyclopedia, and I found out the ocean is 8 miles deep out
Wow.
in the Pacific. And, but it wouldn't have been no difference if it's been 8 foot. It's still drowned, but it was terrible. We had to stay in bed for about 3 days, tire ourselves, because it was so bad. And we ate crackers.
Oh, I bet you were sick.
That's the sickest bunch I ever seen in my life. On
Oh
that ship.
gosh.
But we was a good while getting up to Japan. They didn't know where they wanted us to land. We landed in, the Japanese people. As we started into the town, you could see way ahead. You could see a lot of people, but when we got there, they disappeared. They were afraid of us.
Mm-hmm.
They had been brainwashed to the point that they thought we were going to kill all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But after about 2 weeks, everything was okay. They were inviting us in for tea and everything like that. But they changed just that quick.
In 2 weeks, huh?
In 2 weeks' time.
That's amazing. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah. And if I was walking around off base there one day, and I seen a Japanese farmer out in his garden. He was working in his garden, so I interested. I hadn't had anything green to eat in 2 years while we was over there, and I was just starving to death for something green. And so I went over there. He couldn't understand me, and I couldn't understand him, but I could in through motion. He had some the prettiest onions and I ever seen, green onions, and I loved them. And he asked me if I wanted some, and I said, yeah. So his wife brought out this already washed and real thick, but she had some boiled sweet potato she brought with him. And so, but I asked him, he was putting out his fertilizer. I asked him what he was fertilizing with. Well, he told me, and I decided then I didn't want it.
Oh yeah.
I got rid of the with the onions and sweet potatoes, but I sure didn't want to eat them. I didn't need it. But I was only there about a month and a half. Then I started home. It took 14 days to come home. We landed up in Tacoma, Washington. But the morning, when we got to the United States, about 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody woke us up, I don't know. But I went out on deck of the ship, and you could see the lights on the shore. And oh my, didn't think I'd ever get to see that again. But it took half a day after we seen the lights to go down to Puget Sound into the city of Tacoma, Washington. And I thought that was the most beautiful place I'd ever seen on earth. I said, if I ever get an opportunity, I'm coming back to see this. 47 years later, I got to come back and see
Really?
that. Yeah. But then, after we was there for 7 days, they put us on a train, carried us to San Antonio to discharge us. So in the interview, getting out, the fellow asked me, he said, don't you want to sign up again? I said, no, I said, forget you ever knew me. So I got out of the service, and that's had a good life since then. Had a lot of ups and downs, and of course, like everybody else, had a problem. But it's been a good life. I've enjoyed every bit of it. We're still enjoying our life. I was first wife. I was married. We were married 45 years, and she passed away. And I married her sister. We were married 15 years. She passed away. Me and Betty's been married going on 4 years now.
Gosh, has it been 4 years?
Almost.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's about the overview of what I amounted to, which hasn't been a whole lot. I've worked at a paper mill 45 years.
So you went back to the paper mill when you came
Went
back?
back to the paper mill. Yeah.
Well, I always ask this question since we've been doing these interviews. How did you feel when Franklin Roosevelt died? I mean, when you got the news of
That
that.
was a sad day over there. It was very sad. I can remember it. It's so vivid. The fact is, I have pictures at home of the flag that they brought it down half-mast, and we didn't know what was going to happen after that. But it was a sad day, very bothersome day, because we didn't know what was going to take place after that.
I mean, how'd y'all feel about Truman taking over? Or
Well, he did all right, I think. He carried on maybe better than what President Roosevelt would have. I don't know where President
for
Roosevelt
strong
would
statement,
have
huh?
dropped the bomb or not. But I was all for that. And I thought a whole lot of General MacArthur. But he disobeyed orders, and you can't do that in service. The president he's chief of staff. He's the head man in our United States government, and he can't disobey him. So I kind of lost respect for him, although he did some good on the invasions and all. He did all right down the South Pacific, but he was governor, kind of a head man in the Philippines before the war started. That kind of ruined him, I think, because he was the head man down there. And that kind of I think went to his head, because he thought he could run everything else like he wanted it over in the South Pacific. But everybody has to take orders, even the president. Nobody's above the law or taking orders.
Now, how did you get, or how often did you get news about what was happening in Europe? I mean, did you get it fairly often, or?
No.
Really?
Oh, hey, we'd get letters from home maybe every 2 or 3 weeks, and they'd be old when we'd get them. Things, we were way behind while we were in. Now, when we got back to after the campaign was over, we went back and set up camp. Then we could kind of get a little information, later information, radios and things. But then, of course, we didn't have them. You don't know much of what's going on when you're fighting.
Right.
Maybe our commanders did, but we didn't know a whole lot about what we were doing. We were just interested in moving forward, fighting, and we didn't know a lot of other things going on.
So what do you think about the war that we're fighting,
Now,
or wars, I guess, with Afghanistan and Iraq? I mean, what's your opinion on that?
I think this has to be because we don't want them over here, and it's better to do it over there on their turf than it is on ours, because of what they did in New York. That's my thinking. Yes, it's something that has to be done, and go in to win. Don't go to fool around. Go to win, and then get out.
Right.
The Vietnam War was a waste of human lives because they didn't go in to win, and that was don't ever go in and fight a war and mess around. Just fight to win, whatever it takes, and come home. Because we don't want their country. We don't want them over here either. We can't have that. That's horrible. People we're here now. We don't realize what war really is. Most people don't. But it's terrible. The thing where the kids can't go to school, girls can't go to school, all that sort of thing, and of course that's their problem. That's not, but then they want to tell us what to do the same thing. You know,
Right.
We don't want that.
Did y'all
Now,
have
Freddie?
any questions? Freddie?
How long were you in the
Oh.
service? Oh.
How long were you in the service?
2 years, 9 months, 20 days.
Which branch do you think is the best today?
Which military branch do you think is the best today? Is
Oh,
what it's-
today? Oh, if I was going in to make a career of it, Air Force or Navy.
Well, see, they're always fighting back and forth about who's the best. So.
Kind of stay away from the Marines and infantry. They'll work you to death there.
Miss Kenya, ask him out of
It's not bad.
Air Force.
He
What
might
is
not
it?
want to. He wants to know between the Air Force and the Navy which one's the best. But see, you might not want to answer that one. I don't
I can't
know.
hardly answer that. Both of them are good. Hey, we got to have both of them.
So see,
See?
very diplomatic.
They're both. They're both. We got to have them. We got to have the infantry too. The Marines, Seabees, all of them are very important.
You know, we have a large number of kids that from Sherino, that go into the military. Good
Yeah,
number,
I
good
understand.
many. Good many. I've had some CBs, and which I didn't even know what that was until Dusty Moore. He was a CB and sent me back a few things,
Yeah.
and they go back and construct, and
Yeah.
they're a
We
branch
got
of the Navy,
Coast
right?
Guard.
I think. Maybe not.
Yeah,
Oh.
Mhm. But it is
Gets
interesting.
you a good education, and because everything is technical nowadays. When I was in that, you didn't have to be very smart to carry a rifle, but nowadays everything is technical about it. Computerized. You're going to be surprised at some of the things you are involved in when you get there, because it's going to be very interesting.
I'll be working on computers on airplanes and stuff. I'll be working on computers on airplanes.
Yeah.
We'll go to the Air
Yes. Oh, hey.
What are you
you
gonna
just,
do,
You
do you
just
know?
think about it.
Uh-huh.
You've got the little planes that remote control. They send them over to do a job. And you don't have to even write it. Just use your computer. Hey, this is real neat. In the artillery, in the infantry, you have an observer that goes with you, stays at the front lines with you. And he directs his artillery ahead of us as we move up.
Mhm.
And they did it by grid maps. And even back then, them days, they were good. And they could, on the third shot, they could put wherever they wanted the shells to hit. And even then, they were pretty good. But we did it the hard way. Now they just use that computer. But it was very interesting back in them days, but I was glad to get out. And I don't want to go back today.
Do you have a question?
Anything else y'all want to ask?
I always ask this about who is your favorite president of all the presidents that you've
All the ones
experienced?
we've had, well, I think President Bush, the last Bush,
Mhm.
he was my favorite
Mhm.
of all of them. Of course, all of them have their bad points.
Mhm.
They all don't do like you like them to.
Mhm.
Did you do any pranks in high school or while you were in school?
Do what?
Did
Any
you do any pranks while you were in school?
any pranks? High school pranks?
Oh, I can't tell about all them. I went to high school at Diboll. But I decided I knew more than the teachers, and in the 9th grade, and I quit. That's why I had to go to the infantry, see. So don't quit school. Keep going and learn all you can learn. And you get the good job then. But it'll do you good in other ways. You got to have it this day and time. You get you a good education. It wasn't because I couldn't have done it. It was my own fault that I left school. I wouldn't recommend nobody doing it. You don't never get enough knowledge. You never will. Even if you live to be 85 years old, you won't have enough. You can always use more. I have to ask Betty a lot of things. Yeah. my spelling is not like it ought to be. I wrote a book.
Have you?
Yeah.
I was going to bring it, let you read it, but
Yeah.
I forgot it.
I didn't know that.
I wish you could have had that before the interview. But
And is it just about your life, or is it about?
It's-
Is it?
my life
Really?
as I remember it. That's what it's about.
Uh-huh.
Look,
Do you have it with you?
no, I don't have it. Oh, there's my medal. I got a Bronze Star. It was for doing my duty. They said above and beyond what I was expected of me. But I appreciated it. This was because I was a rifleman. That's a good conduct medal.
Kind of paused on that one a little bit.
Yeah.
This is where that's my where I was at discharge. This is a Pacific medal, a Pacific bar. That's my Bronze Star.
Very neat. Very neat.
That's about all I got left. I had a souvenirs, but I lost one of them. Somebody stole it. Stole two. My bayonet and my
Oh,
saber.
gosh.
I had a Japanese saber. I would have brought that. It's kind of interesting. Everyone had a story on them, but if I could have read Japanese, I could have told who owned it and all that, but I couldn't read Japanese.
That would have been interesting. Very neat.
Beg your pardon?
That would have been very neat.
Yeah.
I would so.
I don't know where to let me into school with that thing.
Yeah, probably not. We would have asked about that one.
It's real sharp. Long.
Really?
That long.
Did y'all have any questions? No? They're going to ask me as soon as you leave a million questions I'm sure they could have thought of. But I always like to ask also for these kids to hear, I mean, what did you guys do as teenagers growing up for fun?
For fun?
Yes, sir.
We'd ride the neighbors' caves and pools. Well, we went in some watermelon patches and got watermelons. There wasn't much to do down the country, but we had to make what we did. But we'd find a swimming hole or we'd do something. There's always something to do.
He liked to fish.
We'd fish quite a bit. We were down close to the river. We weren't too far from the river. And we didn't have no money. Wasn't no money back in them days.
I mean, could you tell when the Great Depression, because you were a child of the Great Depression, right?
Yes.
Okay, could you tell when it hit? Or, I've interviewed some people, they say, I couldn't tell when it hit because they're already.
I was a boy. I remember my dad coming home one Saturday in town, told Mama, said, I had enough money to buy a sack of flour, but he said, I don't know where the next one's coming from. That worried me because I like them biscuits for breakfast. But we managed people would help each other a lot. They'd share what they had. I on a farm, and we had cows and pigs and goats, and we had the whole shebang. And had a farm. We'd raise a garden and had a lot of peas and beans. Well, you get tired of eating those peas and stuff all the time, but it kept us alive. Yeah, but we didn't have no refrigerator, no electricity back in them days. It was after I come home from the service that we got electricity down in Mueller community. But you can do without it. You can live without electricity. And we didn't have no air conditioning. We'd open the window for air conditioning. And our heat was a fireplace. And of course we had a wood stove for cooking. And it just, in the fall of the year, we'd have our pigs. We'd kill our pigs and have meat for winter. And in the springtime, of course, our gardens would come on. And we ate a lot of squirrel. We had to eat coons. Whatever we could get. But we never did go hungry. Some of our neighbors, we'd share milk and butter and buttermilk and whatever we had, we'd share with them. And they'd share with us on what we didn't have. Oh, that worked out real good.
So what do you think is would you consider like the greatest invention of maybe, I guess I could say the 20th century, or what do you think as far that's come around that you think
it's come around? We started getting better in the 40s. In the 40s, things started getting better. Money started coming in, and we could. Well, I was 17 years old before I ever got a haircut in town. Things started getting better. We could eat a little better. I started school at Diboll High School, and of course, I didn't have one pair of shoes to wear. And I had to make them do. Went barefooted most of the time. And I've walked from Beulah to, it's 7 miles. I've walked a lot of time home because I missed the bus. They'd make us run the route around the football field. I couldn't play football because I had to work on the farm. I pick cotton when I get home, so I'd walk the 7 miles. It wouldn't take.
Wow.
And
wouldn't take too long. Good gosh.
We'd work till dark, and then we had to do our chores with that. We had chores we had to do, and feeding our stock, and getting in their wood and things for the fires, water. We had a cistern. We didn't have a well.
So what about, and I know this is, because we've seen different telephones, and I know this is a random question, but we've seen, like Candy had never seen the rotary phones, where you dial it with your fingers. She had never seen that before. And but what kind of phones? What kind of phones did y'all have?
We didn't have a phone.
Didn't have a phone?
No. We had a radio that run off a battery. But now, later in the years, the folks way down close to the river got telephone. And I remember this lady that I knew real well. Had this old box phone that had a crank.
Yeah, we saw one of those in one of the houses.
Did you?
Yes, sir.
Well, I remember that talking about her. Said she talking to her sister up at Huntington, and said she after she hung the phone up, she backed off and said, "My," said, "well, wonders never cease." But that was something for her. Well, it was for all of us.
Did you have to ring it like
Yeah, so many rings.
like 2 shorts and a long, or
Yeah.
is that what it is?
You stop and then maybe 3 more or something like
Uh-huh.
that. Everybody had their own ring.
Huh.
We never did get no.
Mhm.
My dad was old timey, and even after I come home out of the service, I put him a pump in the well. I put him in electricity. They brought electricity down there during the war, sometime after the war, before I got home. And he wanted just a light. That's all he wanted, just a light. Nothing else. But I asked him I said, "He put a pump in your well." He said, "I don't need it." He said, "It don't take long to draw the water with a rope and a pulley, let the bucket down, draw the water." Well, I said, "No, I'll put the pump in there." He said, "The first time something happens to that, it's coming out of it." And sure enough, it did. Something happened, and he took it out. But, I wanted to put him in a bathroom in the house. He said, "Oh, no, ain't no way." He said, surely anybody is not too lazy to go out to the outhouse.
Oh gosh, we haven't made now.
But he didn't. He worked in the woods. He was he was a saw cutter, log cutter.
Well, that was their bell. Did y'all have any questions? No? What do y'all tell Mr. Captain?
You're welcome. I got a lot of other I could tell you, but I can't think of it.